The Race Around the World is back with its 37th season, and joining me now is host and executive producer of The Amazing Race, Mr. Phil Keoghan. Phil, good morning. How are you?
I'm doing great. Nice to be talking to you. And have you had a good day, good morning, or whatever time it is where you are?
It is morning, and yeah, it's pretty okay. It's raining today in the Ozarks, so I'm not overly excited about that, but that's all right. So, Phil, I'm curious to know, you've kind of been at the helm of this show since its inception as both host and executive producer, as stated, and you're very integral in this show. So, where did kind of that initial maybe love for travel and exploring new places for you as a person begin?
From my parents. I'm originally born in New Zealand, and my parents did a brave thing way back. Well, it was brave when they were young. They were in their early 20s, and they packed up with my sister and I. We were 3 and 2 years old, and they headed off into the scary world from the bottom of the world, from New Zealand, where they went to Canada. And then my sister and I, we grew up with my parents traveling everywhere. And I remember my mom and dad took us on a big trip across America in a Volkswagen pop-up camper van. We got to see all the national parks. And so it started from a very early age. They showed us the joys of travel, and it's just been a part of me ever since.
Yeah, I love that. That kind of personal connection has maybe enhanced, why you do what you do now. So I think that's really cool. Now, Phil, season 37. You guys have traveled to some of the most incredible spots on the earth. So where are we headed to this season? Where are we headed to locations and anywhere new?
Yes, always trying to find somewhere new that we haven't been to. And thankfully, there's still a lot of places that we haven't been to. I think Amazing Race has been to close to 100 countries now. I've personally been to about 140, and of course we've gone back to some countries again and again because they just keep offering up really awesome content. Places like India and China and France. But yes, this season we do get to Bulgaria for the very first time. Bulgaria is supposedly the oldest country in Europe. It's known, interestingly, for its amazing yogurt. Very rich in culture, an ancient culture, of course, being the oldest country in Europe. And we really love immersing the teams in that culture. We love that there is um, this deep love from the people of their culture, and that we can then tap into that and then share that with viewers. And we love enticing our viewers to go visit places that we've been to. Like, if you remember last season, we hadn't been to Slovenia before, and we got a lot of feedback from people who were like, "Wow, Slovenia is incredible." It's very close to Italy and Croatia. It's right there near the Adriatic Sea, and it was a place I hadn't actually been to. I've been all around it, but I'd never taken the time to go to Slovenia. So our goal, in addition to entertaining, is also to entice. We're looking to entice people to get out there. As I said at the beginning of the race, the world is waiting for you, and I mean it literally and figuratively. But the idea is, hey, there's a lot of world out there. There's a lot of really cool people. There's a lot of really cool experiences. And if you can, get up and travel, whether that's working and traveling, or whether that's traveling for pleasure, whether that's traveling high end or low end, backpacking, or working your way around the world, whatever it is, the world is waiting. Get out there and enjoy it.
Yeah, I love that. Well, and I do remember Slovenia from last season. I remember kind of turning to my wife and be like, we have to add this to our list. It was really special. And that's something, maybe we wouldn't have known as the viewer if we hadn't watched The Amazing Race. Now, okay, something else that's really exciting to me about this season is you guys always have something exciting in store, surprises in store, but you're really upping the ante this season, it seems like. So what kind of twists are ahead for the competing pairs this season?
Yeah, as you pointed out, we are always about surprises. We are the show of surprises. I would say that this season is the show. This season is a season of big surprises because we're adding bigger surprises to the already existing surprises. But the idea was that in each episode, we would either have something from the past, like a fast forward, which we're bringing back, or we would have a brand new element in every single episode, so that the teams know there's a big surprise coming in every episode, but they don't know exactly what it is. And right out of the gate, one of the new elements we have is called the fork in the road. And it really is pretty self-explanatory. Teams get to a fork in the road. We have 14 teams this season, which we've never had before. And the reason for that is we wanted to split the teams up at the fork of the road, 7 going in one direction, 7 going in the other, and then having those 2 groups of 7 run parallel races all the way to the finish line. And then when the last 2 teams from each side of the fork in the road arrive, we eliminate one team from one side of the fork in the road and one team from the other side of the fork in the road. And suddenly we go from 14 teams in the show down to 12, just like that.
Oh my gosh. Okay, I cannot think of a more exciting season premiere. That has me so excited to see how that specific part of it is going to pan out. Now, Phil, something I always appreciate about you is your insight into each season's cast. So, how would you kind of define or tease the season 37 cast for me?
Well, I think that's the strength and the backbone of Amazing Race. No matter where we go, no matter what we do, no matter how much effort we put into the cinematography and the locations, and whether they're milking a goat to make yogurt in Bulgaria or whether they're jumping off the side of the building, none of it matters. None of that effort that we put in matters unless we have interesting people taking part in all the hard work we've put in to create the show. It just doesn't matter, because if you put really boring people into the most exciting thing and they're just boring, they're boring. There's nothing you can do about it. So you want exciting people. And what's really great about the show being on as long as it has been now is that we don't have to look very far to find interesting people, because they're all coming to us. We are spoiled for choice. It becomes incredibly hard for us to narrow down who is going to make it onto the show, because there's just so many. And this season we've got Nick and Mike. They've tried to be on this show for 7 years. They've tried to be on the show, and they just have never given up. And for one reason or another, they didn't make it into the mix, because we want to have a really interesting cast. We don't want to cast anybody that's like anybody else. We like to mix it up. We want that dynamic of people who are different ages and different backgrounds, different socioeconomic backgrounds, some that have traveled, some that haven't traveled, some that work with their hands and are maybe more, workers in like literally doing manual work, and those who maybe pick up a pen every day. Well, maybe not a pen, but a computer. They're on a computer. They've got soft hands and some have got tough hands. So we're always looking for that. And so this season, I really love the father-daughter relationship with Ernest and Bridget. He's a firefighter. She's a young woman who wants to be recognized as an equal to her father, who still sees her as the little girl sometimes. We've got a couple who are struggling with their relationship, and they want to come on because they want to be forced together, to have to be forced to work together. I don't know if this is necessarily the best place to work out a relationship, but okay, that's what they're doing. And then we have sisters who are really just looking to have the experience of their life. Their mother always loved them doing adventures together, so they're doing it in honor of her. Yeah, just every single team has got something interesting, some real nuggets that I think are going to make it fascinating for the viewers.
Yeah, well, hey, The Amazing Race is definitely an interesting venue for couples counseling, but we'll see how it pans out, I guess, for them. So, Phil, as always, thank you so much for taking the time to speak to me this morning. The Amazing Race, Wednesdays on CBS. Tune in.